I'm Tamika D. Mallory.
And it's your boy Mysonne the General.
We are your host of TMI.
Tamika and Mysonne's information, truth, motivation, and inspiration.
New name, new energy, but
same old us.
What's up, Mysonne Lynn? How you doing today?
I'm feeling good, man. I got my Tupac shirt on, so you know it's me against the world.
That's good. That's cool. Did you feel an earthquake? I didn't feel an earthquake. I didn't even know an earthquake happened until I started seeing people posting about it online.
I did not feel the earthquake. I heard about it, but I did not feel it. I've never felt the earthquake, actually.
No, I felt the one the other time.
I never felt none of them. Every time somebody said, I remember I was on the highway, and they said it was just, you know, in the building, people in the building was like stuff that fell off the walls and stuff. I never felt any. I have yet to feel it.
I felt it the time, the last time there was an earthquake, which, by the way, it seems to be more frequent, which, you know, we need somebody on the show to talk about why all of a sudden are there, you know, earthquake situations popping off on a regular basis. Not regular basis, but more than before. Like maybe because we were younger and just more, you know, or less concerned about the news, we didn't hear about it because we weren't paying attention. So that's my parents.
Well, earthquakes have always happened. It's just that,
but this frequent,
that's
what I'm saying. Because there was one last year. Yeah, I was standing in the kitchen and the whole house.
I missed that one. I missed that one too.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. And now we're back to another one. So I don't know. I'm not a earthquake expert at all.
Earthquakeologist.
I'm not. And I know in California and other places, they have earthquakes on a regular basis. So I guess, you know, I kind of just think that climate change and all these things is real, right? And like, I don't know, it feels like we just are in the twilight zone. That's how it feels. Like, I believe them people who said that sooner than later, our entire planet is going to be like in serious trouble. They talk about the heat and the heat and the cold, like it being in the wrong places at the wrong time. Like I don't know all the proper ways to speak on the issue, but I do know that there's some changes. There are things that are just very different.
This is true.
And I don't know if this administration cares about it. I'm gonna be honest with you. So hopefully we all right.
This is not really even an administration.
It is an administration.
I really don't.
They have power.
They haven't administered anything that's positive for anybody.
They have power.
It's really sad where we are.
And you know, I don't know if administrations. That's a good conversation because I'm not sure administrations mean doing anything positive or not. Maybe it just means doing whatever you believe should be the agenda. So that actually leads me right into my thought of the day. Because as I was listening to this report on the news, they were talking about Trump ordering the firing of Erica McIntyre, I think is her name, Miss Erica, I'm sorry if I said your name wrong, who is the commissioner of the Bureau of Labor Statistics. Now, last week, he said that the numbers were rigged, and it is because she is a Biden appointee, a Senate-approved Biden appointee, by the way, and she was approved by a bipartisan group of people. So they were both Republicans and Democrats that approved this woman to take this position. Her job is to count the numbers. It's all about data, right? And he puts out a tweet where he says that she is rigging the numbers because she's trying to, make his administration look bad. America's doing great. He never puts out his own numbers. Mm-hmm. He should have said it is not true because XYZ thing, but he doesn't say that. He just says this woman is lying and he wants her fired. And so they were talking about how he pretty much does not like anybody to speak on facts about anything. Even unless they agree with him, they are not allowed to release information or to talk about the realities of what's happening. So imagine when we're talking about climate change, when we're talking about all these issues that the Republicans for so long have been saying is, not as bad as it has been made, that it's all a a trick by the Democrats to create problems that don't exist. He did the same thing with COVID. He did the same exact thing with COVID. Wasn't that big of a deal. Go drink some bleach, you'll be okay type of shit. And guess what? People died. Now, we know why people died. A lot of it was because the hospitals were unprepared for the level of disease and sickness that happened, and they killed a lot of people. That's just the truth, right? We know that. But nonetheless, COVID in and of itself was so serious. And if you had a president who, from the beginning, when they knew about it before the American people became aware, which we believe was somewhere back in December of the year before, if they had done what was necessary, perhaps the hospitals would have been more prepared, because there was a pandemic on its way, and it wasn't addressed. So this just makes me hope and wonder whether or not, earthquakes popping off here and there, like, what are we doing? Yeah. Are we okay? But we are not going to know. We're only going to know based upon having independent investigation of everything and following and listening to and learning from folks who've been studying this stuff, who are non-biased, but they're really trying to tell you what's happening in the world.
It's a fact. The reality, like I was just saying to you a few minutes ago, there's no more checks and balances. Right, that's what Trump has eliminated. It's really just straight up dictatorship. I was listening to shout out to Charlemagne. Charlemagne went to Fox News and did an interview with Lord Trump, and he was so mad at Charlemagne and his perspective. He called him all kinds of names, and and it's so crazy to me that we have a president that's this childish, right? That don't even have the temperament to be able to take either constructive criticism or even be able to just come back and say that's not right, or combat it with your words instead of disrespect and just dumb shit, firing people because you don't agree. Like, everything that you don't agree with, you just gonna fire people every time. You're gonna isolate people,
have them arrested.
Like, you getting rid of whole TV stations because you getting rid of the top interviewers and people who are doing their shows because they don't agree with you or they say something.
Well, but that's the thing. He's not getting rid of these people. You talking about commentators on nightly news shows and all of these folks that are either losing their jobs. I mean, we believe that Joy-Ann Reid was specifically targeted because of her commentary on Donald Trump as well as Gaza and the Palestinian liberation movement. And I do think that, yes, he has a role, that he sends a signal that he doesn't like these people. And next thing you know, we start to see folks being fired or contracts being negotiated out, or, what do they call it? Restructuring and all of this stuff, right? I think that's true. However, there has to be some onus on the companies and the institutions that are actually following the wink. So he gives the wink and the nod, and then they do the thing.
So I was just watching something on TV that came up. The mayor in Florida in Orange County, his name is Jerry Demings, black man, and he was talking about how he reluctantly had to sign a deal with ICE. And he said, I didn't want to do it. I seen that he has been fighting against it for a long time. But the reality is, he said that they will remove us from office. He said, literally, me and my staff will be removed from office, and my constituents in my county, they can't take that. We would lose way more than we would. So literally, these people are being what do you call it? Blackmailed.
Bullied, yeah.
Bullied and blackmailed. That's what's happening. So when I look at these TV shows, like Stephen Colbert is the #1 night show, and now because he said something about Trump, next day they talking about they're not renewing his contract and it's over. It's like, this is what's happening all the time in every issue.
I agree, but what I will say is that I hope that, what you say his name, Mayor what?
Jerry Demings.
Mayor Demings needs to understand that he believes he will be removed if he does not do this thing. And once he did that thing, he's already been removed. Like, you've been neutered at the point that you have to roll over for what these folks are attempting to do. Now, I get it. I could talk all that over here, and I'm not the mayor of Orange County. I'm not any mayor at all. So I understand that it is not easy. But then you have somebody like Mayor Brandon Johnson in Chicago who's like, I'm not negotiating with terrorists, as they're threatening to pull money from his city because of his status as a sanctuary city. So it depends where you're going to fall in this fight.
Yeah.
And I think people are still believing that to acquiesce or to work with them a little bit is to move somehow closer to them being able to like maintain some level of civility, when they don't understand that it's ICE today and tomorrow it's going to be something different. These folks are going to continue to move their ball towards Project 2025 because that's where they are headed. That's it. So, fine, I'm not a mayor, so how dare I get to speak? But I am a fighter, and I do realize that every time you give a bully ground, they just move in more and more and more and more on you. And so that's where we are.
We living in anarchy. Like, it's really,
absolutely.
It's going to come a time, like, when, that's one thing the minister said, it's going to take 10,000 fearless people, men and women, all, like, people are going to really have to be tested.
Be ready to roll,
because
yeah.
It's so crazy to me, right? I just be walking around, we in the hood, and we just don't know what's going on.
Not paying attention.
We are just so far from what's going on. And then I be sitting there thinking to myself, damn, we just don't know. And they say our people perish because of lack of knowledge.
Well, our media is also not good at showing us what's happening. Even until Trump, listen to how crazy this is. Okay? And this is my thought of the day today. It's all about this issue of jobs. I'm back to it, part 2, on the unemployment rate for black folks and particularly black women. But it's now the numbers are showing black men are also impacted, but it is acute for black women. Until Trump tweeted that he wanted to get rid of the Miss Erica from the Bureau of Labor Statistics, until he did that, right? There was really no conversation on CNN, MSNBC. I wasn't seeing it. I don't watch MSNBC, so let me not lie on them folks over there. They might have been talking about it the whole time. But I do watch CNN. And I did not, and I watch CNN from the morning until the night. It's probably the only thing other than Law and Order that's on my TV for the whole day in different cycles until I look at a little bit of Fox News. I did not even see a report, conversations, post, social media. I follow CNN. I did not see them talking about the number of black women who are out of the workforce since Trump took office, right? I did not see them tying the anti-DEI movement to the job loss of black women. I did not see that happening. Mm-hmm. But when he tweeted, then the news shifts. So even our media is controlled by what he does and does not do, instead of them being there as an offense game that, you know what, we're going to inform people so that people will know what's happening. When people get up every day and they get ready to go to work and they're doing whatever they're doing, when you say Donald Trump, most of the time, a lot of people I know, they turn it off. They don't even want to hear the shit no more. They already know it's terrible. We get it. But if you have a headline that says X amount of hundreds of thousands of black women are out of the workforce during, because of or due to, even whether you say it's Donald Trump's administration or not, that is going to get more people to listen. So part of the reason why what you're saying is that our people are uninformed is because we don't even have an apparatus, a media apparatus that's properly educating us. And too many of us do not see the importance of following and supporting people like us, right? People like Roland Martin and others who are giving you information that you need. But now, let me go to my thought of the day specifically. The Griot reported, and this is due to the numbers that Trump doesn't like. So stick with me. They reported that black unemployment is at the highest level since the pandemic. And I think it was in 2021 under Joe Biden. During a pandemic, the last time jobs were at such a low rate or high rate, unemployment was at such a high rate, jobs at such a low rate. By the time Joe Biden left office, black unemployment was at its lowest, right? It was at its lowest in many years. So by the time Donald Trump takes office until now, the reports from the Bureau of Labor Statistics say that it's at the highest since 2021 during a pandemic. Mm-hmm. That is absolutely terrible.
Terrible.
Right? But there are people online trying to tell me that, these numbers are inaccurate. You actually see people that are dumb enough to say, I still have my job, so this is not true. We're talking about 300,000 black women, maybe you still have your job. That's awesome. But that does not mean that 300,000 other black women have not either lost their jobs, been pushed out, whether it's these packages in the federal government. It does not mean that every single person has been fired. It means that people have left the workforce for one issue or the other. And we know that the numbers are undercounted because they are only counting people in the federal government, other corporate entities and institutions that report their data. But you got people with contracts, and guess what, my son? I know these people. They are either on my phone telling me they lost their jobs, or they're sharing in my stories. I can see people taking my post and sharing it to their folks, and they don't know me and I don't know them, and they're saying, I'm in the number. I'm one of those people. I've interviewed with 200 people, 300 people, and I can't seem to find a job. Not 200. That's an exaggeration, but I've been on 30 interviews and I can't seem to find a job. And I would love to see when the Latino reports come out, because as we know, right here in our studio, our producer Janice had been looking for a job for I don't know how long, and even her daughter, and cannot find work. So God forbid when we find out what's happening with that. So I decided to let me go and look up what are the reasons. So first of all, tariffs is obviously one of the main things, because when the president starts talking about raising the tariffs on all of these different nations, it makes the economy unstable. And people should go to thegrio.com and read this story, because the story gets into very specific reasons by experts of why job loss starts. And one of them says that when black people are the last to get hired, but the first to get fired. And so if you think about that we're the last to get hired and the first to get fired, that means that the economy is going in a very, very destabilized direction, because we're not even the first in and the last out. That means that they are already starting to cut the people who are already impacted. So we know that it won't be long before the entire system starts to see some real serious crisis shit happening. But okay, let me go back to my research. So it says that tariffs is one of them. But the other thing that nobody can leave this out. I don't care who you are. You could try your best. You could be a person who's just like, I don't care about DEI. I don't want to talk about DEI. But if you're being honest, you got to bring it up as to why all of these black women especially have been losing their jobs. And of course, the report says that the anti-diversity, equity, and inclusion campaign that is basically making it a crime to hire people and ensure that your workforce is diverse and equitable and inclusive, that has a major, or is playing a major role in why so many people are being pushed out of the workforce. This man has fired so many people from the federal government. They let that damn Elon Musk go in there and close down departments. And guess who is overrepresented in the federal government? Black people. Black people have an over-index in terms of federal jobs. The reason why that happened for the people out there who'll be like, oh, well, why were they all working there? Because we were not able. We get businesses, they burn it down. Right? Yeah. We try to work in certain environments if they're not protections.
And we was taught to get a government job.
Well, but there was a reason why that happened, is what I'm saying to you. When we attempted to build our own, it was challenged, it was burned down, we could not get the funding that we needed to start certain businesses. And then when we went into the workforce, there were little to no protections for black and brown people. And so when we went into the federal government, it was the first place where you could go and have a stable income. You could make a good amount of money to be able to buy your home and to have some level of wealth within your family, have benefits, and there were rules established to protect all workers, not just black workers, but all workers. Mm-hmm. And so now when they go in and just start firing people left and right, don't think that they don't understand who is going to be impacted by that the most. Sure. Now, so I decided, now that I know from my research that tariffs and the anti-DEI campaign are two of the top reasons why you are beginning to see so many black women and black people being pushed out of the workforce. I said, let me go ask ChatGPT a question. Right. And I didn't even know the best way to ask the question because it was kind of like, But I just said, let me go for it and just ask it in my own novice way. So I said, which part of Project 2025 has something to do with black people losing jobs? Real basic question, right? Wish I had a more fancy way to ask it, but I figured that was basic. It says, Project 2025, it says it's the far-right policy blueprint by the Heritage Foundation, and it's set, and over 100 conservative organizations contributed to it. It says it doesn't explicitly say we want black people to lose jobs. It doesn't say that. But many of its proposals would disproportionately harm black communities, particularly in employment and economic opportunity. Number one, the first thing that ChatGPT, because y'all be on the internet with all of these things about how ChatGPT is trying to control us and it lies and it might be true. I'm not saying I don't know what it does to other people. When I use it, it's pretty much just to make sure I'm on point about what I'm already thinking and maybe a couple of ideas. But really, I don't use it enough to say that it's not doing something racist. I don't know. But I'm just telling y'all, when I put stuff in there, the questions I ask, it gives me back for the most part what I'm looking for. So I asked this question and it says, number one, dismantling the DEI infrastructure. It proposes to eliminate diversity, equity, and inclusion across all federal agencies, and it discourages them in the private sector. It says discourages. It does not say it makes it mandatory. So that's another day's conversation target. But it says it has wiped out so many federal jobs and contracts, a field where many black professionals have found employment or gained business opportunities. Number two, reclassifying and firing federal workers. That's sort of like number one, but this talks about how many of our people are in the or were in the federal workforce, and now And it compares the number of people in the workforce to our population, right? Mm-hmm. And it shows how this has a major impact when people start getting fired from federal jobs. Then it says, number three, cutting social safety net programs. It talks about deep cuts to welfare programs, including food stamps, housing, what is happening in and Medicaid. That is all in the big, beautiful bill. You know, the big, nasty, ugly lie. It's all in there. So when they say they're cutting all these programs and they tell you, no, we're just trying to make sure that people that are not supposed to be on it. No, it's in Project 2025. And even ChatGPT that y'all say is racist is telling you that this is a part of how they will destabilize our community. Number four, attacking labor rights. That's why you got labor unions out here that are fighting like hell, because they know that the rights of the labor community, right? That has been one of the cornerstones of protections of black, brown, and other workers. Yes. And they're attacking that. They really want to take labor unions out. And then it says erasing of civil rights protections. This is mad serious. It says Project 2025 aims to dismantle the Civil Rights Division of the Department of Justice, to strip enforcement power from agencies like the EEOC, and eliminate anti-discrimination protections. That would make it harder to sue for racial discrimination in hiring, firing, and pay. There was people who I actually tried to, like I thought we were good. We were close and we understood that we might not always be on the same side, but we both had good common sense that told me Project 2025 was not Donald Trump's platform. He did not believe that was not what, and I thought these people were smart. So I gave them time and I tried to build with them that we could be on different sides and still come together. Nope. I don't have any space in my life for anybody that made excuses for this shit, because our people are going to be impacted the most. When it's all said and done, as we have heard many times, that when America gets a cold, black people get pneumonia and we die. Well, we are in pandemic crisis right now, and it is going to eliminate eliminate not just black wealth, but there will be people in our communities who have already been suffering, who are going to suffer more than we have ever seen. And you watch and see, does this not happen in the next year? So just so people know, because I'll be back for a third time on this topic, since people want to try to tell me that what I know is not true. And now the Griot is a liar. The Ebony Magazine is a liar. Revolt is a liar. Everybody's a liar. No, who's a liar
Trump.
is Donald Trump. He's the liar. We are losing jobs in our community, and everybody, and I know this is me going on too long, but I just want to say all of this stuff about, somebody had the nerve to write on my page today that you should become an electrician and get you a trade. So you telling me that a 60-year-old woman who was close to retirement is supposed to go learn how to be a damn electrician now after she done worked all her life to work in the Department of Education, the Department of Justice, or some transportation, or is a consultant who's been working on projects, or has a business that has been doing whatever, security at the airports. I mean, black people have real businesses, by the way, just so people will know that they're real businesses, and you get a federal contract to do security, to do transportation, to do all the cleaning services. And so you telling me now that the 55-year-old person, the 45-year-old person needs to go learn how to be a goddamn electrician? And there's nothing wrong with being an electrician, but that's not going to happen today.
It's really sad that we have to have this conversation. And, for pretty much a year straight, I just knew this was coming, right? And it's just like, it's mind-boggling. It's mind-boggling to see people that believe anything that Trump say. Like, it's just weird to me. It's like the man just lies. He lies every time he talks. He's been fact-checked and just proven to be a liar about everything. And there's still people that come from our communities with black skin that's going through the same struggle that try to ignore it or try to justify it. And it's just the weirdest shit ever. It's like, it's like a domestic violence person that just stays with the person. They ignore the black eyes and they try to convince you that it's not that bad and you're bugging. I just love them, and you getting the shit beat out you, and you don't even care. It's like there's a level. It's Stockholm syndrome, and I don't know what to do with it. I don't have the stomach for it. I don't want to have a discussion about it. It's just like, if you're living in the time that we're living in right now, if you're seeing the same shit I'm seeing, and you're enduring the same shit, if you're walking into these stores, and if you're outside just feeling just the texture of what we in this world, and you don't realize it, it's nothing I can say to you.
Yeah, I mean, it's. Let me just say that, to your point, a lot of people want to believe in something, and therefore they make excuses. But guess what? I've never, ever sat and said to you, oh, no, Joe Biden was the best and Kamala Harris was the best. No, we are at least able to identify that there was some serious issues with the administration. There's serious issues with the issues of Palestine and Gaza. We were very clear about that. People got mad and said, don't talk about it. It's not the time. And we said, no, we're not going to do that. We have to stand 10 toes down on what is right and what's true. Y'all will sit there and try to say that this man wasn't involved in Project 2025, and they are steps into implementing what Project 2025 looked like. They wrote it in a 900-page document. You can't even be mad at the people.
The problem for me is that there are people who's like, what's so bad?
People said Project 2025 isn't scary. I remember that. Project 2025 isn't scary. It sounds so stupid.
It's just asinine.
Really, because everybody wants to be viral for saying something that makes them sound like they got that thing and they know more. No, Project 2025 is impacting our people, and we can be building, that's for sure. But so while we build, people should be able to have to be able to utilize their tax dollars for their families to survive. So then anyway, let's move on to the TMI, because I could talk about this for a whole show. Matter of fact, next week, I'll be back to talk about it again. Shit.
Oh, man, it's a lot, man. But for TMI, as we talk about work in the workforce, we talk about jobs in the workforce. I was having a conversation with one of my friends yesterday, actually. We just had a good conversation. And we was talking about kids. He was telling me about issues he's having with his daughter. And I was talking about me and my son, my oldest son, and we were just having conversations. And we came to a conclusion. So we want to know, are we right? So for today's TMI, the question is this. We know we come from poverty. When we come from our communities, we didn't have a lot. And as we were able to, acquire certain things, we wanted to make sure that our kids didn't have the same path. We wanted to make sure our kids were able to have the good sneakers that they wanted to. Because I remember going to school and not having the sneakers I wanted and holes in my pants, and make sure they ate whatever they wanted to. They was able to go on every trip, every video game they had. Like, we wanted to make sure we did that.
And a solid education, I hope, is one of those
solid
things.
education. Oh, that's mandatory. You got to go to school. Like,
right. Well, going to school is different from moving them into a district or paying for
trying to get the best schools.
Because when we were kids, you went around the corner.
Yeah, exactly. So, the best schools,
Although my parents did pay for me to go to school.
Exactly. I paid for my son to go to Catholic school. I try to put him in the best. All the things is necessary. Wanted to provide the best things you could for your children. The question is, and we had to ask ourselves, did we do too much? Did us trying to make sure that they didn't struggle or go through, the turmoil and the plight that we went through, did it harm them? A lot of people have these questions. A lot of people say, you're supposed to provide everything you can for your kids. And I really think that it's not really the best idea. I think what we've done, we've taken away this fire. We've created levels of entitlement. We've taken away the will or just the need to have to work for something, because we never really made them work for anything. They feel like it's supposed to come, oh, you my father, you my mother, you're supposed to do certain things, or you're supposed to do that. And they walk into the world with this kind of mentality. Like, I used to get up, I remember, I used to get up at 6 o'clock in the morning. I was going to go to school. Nobody had to wake me up. I used to I wanted to play on the basketball team. I got there at 7 o'clock. They had workouts at 7 o'clock. I went there, worked out before I was even on the team. I went there and I was the clock guy. But I there was levels of work and shit that I knew that I had to do to acquire the things that I wanted. Like, I had to go pack bags. I wanted summer clothes. We didn't have money. So I would get up, leave school like 10 minutes early, run home. There was a little supermarket down the block, Sergio's. Shout out to Sergio. They used to be there. And I used to sit there and pack bags. Or I would go to the supermarket right across the street from my school and pack bags there. And I made my own money. And I remember the first time I brought all my summer clothes. I had about $100, $200, and I went to the little store. I bought the little $10 shorts. That's when they had the flower shorts and all that. All you needed was a little T-shirt and some shorts, and you get you a pair of sneakers. And I brought my summer clothes, and I felt accomplished. Nobody gave me nothing. And I had that mentality. And I watch these kids now, and they don't really have that work ethic mentality. They want to figure out the best hustle, the best scheme, how you get it the fast way. They don't want to grind. They don't really want to work. And it's because I believe that we've done too much to entitle them.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I would say this. Because even though it's a lot of things, because also they got an opportunity. Your children are getting an opportunity to see parents that work hard. Right. And so maybe you did still give too much, and maybe I did the same, but I do think that it is in them because they know what it looks like to be a hustler. Mm-hmm. There are some children, and I would imagine that these are the types of kids you're talking about, that didn't have they didn't have to do anything, and they don't even really see all that much hard work. They just see a lavish lifestyle of, you want this, and you want to go here and come here, and your friends come over and we go on vacation and we do all these things, and that's just kind of like the environment, I guess, that they live in, and so they're rude. They lazy. Mm-hmm. They don't want to be bothered. But I would say that with our children and with most of the children who have parents that are very similar to us, like our friend group, those kids in this moment, they might be a little like, I don't feel like it, but they're going to end up being hard workers because they were raised in environments where that's what they learned.
But I think that's part of the journey, right? And that's the conversation that we had. And we were saying we set a foundation for them. Yeah, we did too much, and so there's a level of entitlement right now.
Right, all our kids have
what you have to do is take it back. Like, you have to be intentional about, okay, look, I realize now you got to figure the rest out on your own.
Yeah.
And you got to be intentional about that, because that's what's going. It's going because they have it inside them. You understand what I'm saying? They definitely have the things that we've taught them, and the level of work ethic in it, because they've seen us work hard, but they just haven't had to work that hard.
Yeah.
So now you have to make them work that hard. They got to be able to call you and you be like, I can't do it. You got to figure this out on your own.
Yeah.
We got to make them figure things out on their own. And I think nobody had to. I think the frustration comes is that it's late in the age. Like when you 20, like by the time I was 21, I was trying to figure out everything. I had my own record deal. Nobody even knew I was rapping. I was figuring it out. I was doing the things necessary to be able to, secure my future. And I think so you expect your kids to have it faster than you, but the reality is we didn't set them up for it.
Yeah, no, that's true. It's true. We do expect our children to be more advanced than us, because we feel like we're more advanced than our parents, but really, quite frankly, we weren't. Right? Because our parents endured things that we never, ever had to deal with. Mm-hmm. They just did. They came through. I'm thinking about my mom and dad coming from the South, especially my mother. At least my father came here with his brothers. You know what I'm saying? So they going to hustle their way through and figure it out. But my mom came here as a woman who's coming from the South. Already the discrimination, even though the North was supposed to be better, there was still a lot of discrimination. She had to work in environments where she was mistreated, but nonetheless, she just kept pushing her way through. Me, when I was in school, soon as somebody got on my nerves, I was like, I don't want to go back there. And then you know what they did? They moved me because I didn't like that place. And in hindsight, I probably should have stayed my ass right there and figured it out. But yes and no. Because in elementary school, I couldn't say I want to leave. Mm-hmm. And they allowed me to be in an environment where my self-esteem was chipped away at every single day by people who wanted to keep me in my place. So there is no blueprint for what our children should do and what they will become. But I will say that I agree with you that hard work has to be a part of what we are teaching our children. We have to. My granddaughter, I want her to take herself, go put it back. Put it back. She puts it down right there. Wherever she is, throw it down. She took some French fries that she had in her stroller out, and evidently, she don't want the French fries in her stroller because that's not where it's supposed to be. But instead of taking it and putting it in the trash can, she at my mama's house, which, by the way, my mother probably, when I was young, now they don't do this no more. Yeah, nowadays, my mother's like, oh, that baby, look at what she's doing. Ha, ha, ha. She would have broke my arm for taking the French fries out the stroller and throwing them on the floor right there in her living room. It would have never happened. Never. Even at almost 3 years old, my mother would have been like, you must be out your mind. It would have been a whole thing. I probably would have had to go take a nap. Okay? At that age.
Get you a little rest.
Get you some lay down since you don't know where the garbage can is.
Pop.
And the next time...
No. Pick it up.
You will remember where the garbage can is.
Oh, hell yeah. That little pop, because you put, once you
the pop and
it,
the nap.
they'd have grabbed their hand and said, pop, pop.
They did
Pick
a pop.
And then they throw it in the ground and just say, now go to nap. And you'll be like,
They did a pop. They did a pop. But they did that nap. That nap was like a seal of...
No, but the thing is, that's why they popped you, because the cry made you tired. They knew it. It was a strategy. They'll pop you real good, and you hold it in, especially when you're young. And the first time it happens, you don't know what's going on, and they pop you, and you look at them, and they be like, no, now go nap. And you go, rah! And then you start crying, and then you laying down, and you cry yourself to sleep.
And you remember where the garbage is.
So, they didn't give you that look.
But that's on me. Instead of me going to her and just picking it up, I went and got her and the French fries and went to the garbage can.
Said, this is where it goes.
But a lot of times that's not, like, we just don't do that as much anymore, because I find myself just making sure she's okay. I don't want her to feel uncomfortable, to cry a little bit. My grandmother used to let you cry. She used to say, baby, crying is good for you. Cry all you want to cry. You got to change pamper, you got to change whatever you ate. You dry. You comfortable. You can cry all you want to cry. She said that all the time. Baby, I love to hear people crying. That means it's life around here.
You know what the reality is? They set us up for real life.
They did.
They let us understand that people don't give a fuck if you cry. Like, they don't care. Like, if you're not doing what's right, they don't give a fuck. And that's the conversation.
I call it cruel and unusual punishment.
I have real conversations with kids, and I'm be like, yo, me and your mother is the only people that give a fuck about all of that. Outside of us, in another, like, my son's 11 and 14, I'm like, another 3 or 4 years, nobody's gonna care except us. They're going to see you as an adult. They're going to see you as moving the potential that you have. If you don't have not maximized on all that, you just become part of people in the world. And nobody gives a fuck about your feelings.
That's it.
So I want you to get used to that. I don't want you to have, false expectations of realities that outside of this home where we nurture and care for you and love you, that people care about what you're going through. They don't give a fuck.
They really don't. So, it is something to think about. Are we doing too much as parents and grandparents, and how we are trying to make sure our kids don't suffer some of the same things that we suffer? Or should we be protecting them at all costs? Because I don't want my children and my son or my granddaughter to struggle. I don't want that. But perhaps struggle is what gives you character.
Yeah, it does. They said struggle has created more men of honor than privilege ever has. Mm-hmm.
All right. So as I mentioned, we have an interview today with a sister whose story is just so real and so raw that it's pretty emotional. I think that these types of stories are often buried, especially when it comes to Black women. I don't know why, but the world really, either they use it for a movie so that it becomes like trauma porn, or it's not talked about in the places that it needs to be. And I don't really know all the reasons why, but I do know that it's not easy for stories like Katrina Brown's to be told. And that probably sounds a little crazy to folks, like, oh yeah, I always hear about, but you might hear it on the chicken circuit, like on the telephone with your mama and your grandmama and whatever, but the national news does not cover these types of stories unless somebody is deceased. And she is not. She is alive and well. I meant to say Katrina Brown Lee, not just Katrina Brown, but Katrina Brown Lee. And again, she's thriving and she's here with us. Now, Katrina is a retired first grade detective in the NYPD. And let me tell you something. I know police departments across the country, and I can tell you that being a police officer in New York is no joke, particularly as a woman. I've heard it from a number of cops, and I know that it is probably one of the most difficult police departments to thrive within. To become a first grade detective in the NYPD, that is a substantial accomplishment. That's and right. So, but her story is so deep of what took place in her life, and I want to hear about it today. But I just want folks to know that once you finish listening to this powerful sister, get to the internet. She will tell us how to purchase her book, because she is now an author who is telling her story through her book. And Then Came the Blues, a new book, a memoir. Thank you so much for joining the TMI show.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for the opportunity to be here today. I want to, start. I just want to give a brief story of how everything unfolded, if I may. So I was in a domestic violence relationship with my ex-fiance, who is my youngest daughter's father. And very early on, the relationship became abuse. And what that looked like was being in a relationship with him early on, getting pregnant early on. And I expressed to him I did not want to have a baby with him because I didn't know him like that. And I didn't think he would want to have a baby with me because he didn't know me. But just being in that broken space, I decided to, have the baby. And when I told him I wasn't going to have the baby, that's when the abuse began. And you don't realize that you're in an abusive relationship with someone. A lot of times you don't know what it looks like. And so at that particular time, because of all the transgenerational trauma that I had been through, I didn't realize that that's what I was experiencing.
What's some examples?
Of
No, of
transgenerational trauma.
the domestic abuse that you were
Oh,
experiencing, because it wasn't
well,
just like strike you in the face at first. It started with other
oh,
things.
it actually, that's how it started.
Wow,
That's what I'm.
wow.
It started that way. Some people's story may be, well, it comes with the emotional part. That wasn't my story. My story came with the smack in the face and flipped over. And I'm here from the projects, and I'm like, oh, you don't smack me, and I smacked him back, and we started fighting. But he's a man and much bigger than I was. So of course, he overpowers me. And I speak about that in the book, like how that all happened, and I unpack that. And so I begin this relationship with this man, and I'm abused because I don't realize at the moment that I'm abused. And well, I'm not saying I didn't realize it. I'm abused, but I'm not realizing that this is not normal for someone to be hitting me and putting their hands on me and emotionally abusing me and talking down to me. I didn't realize what that looked like at that particular time. If that makes sense. So, him being the correction officer that he was at that time, I it was this particular time that I called the police department. I called 911. Police officers responded, and when they responded, he identified himself that he was a correction officer, and the police officer said, "You guys got to work it out." I had a black eye. It wasn't visible. So you saw that I was abused, and he decided to walk away and leave me in that state. So right there, my distrust for the police, that left. Like, I had no trust at that point, because you're here to protect and serve, and then you see me in this condition, and then you say, okay, well, you know what, y'all got to work that out. So that happened. And I called the cops again. I speak about that also in the book, about when I called the second time. And so after that, it was no more calling the cops, because I'm realizing, like, at this point, they're not going to help me, because the second time when I called, they just actually walked away. Like, he showed his back. They didn't even say anything to me. Again, a visual marks are on my face, on my body. And which is so interesting is, when the story first was told about four years ago, someone called me anonymously and said to me, "I'm not sure if I was the police officer that responded. I did work in the 8-1 precinct at that time." He said, "But I want to say that I know that you're not lying about us walking away, because I've done it before. So I'm not sure if you're the person, but if you are, I want to say, I'm sorry. I want to apologize to you. I won't give you my name. I retired as a captain, I believe he said, or inspector." And he said, "I live in Florida now." And he hung up the phone.
Damn.
And
Acknowledging that they walked away and left. This is now that you have been in the worst situation. You almost died. Now people want to tell you they're so sorry because they realize they could have saved your life by intervening at the time when you were calling for help.
correct. And I was pregnant at the time.
Jesus.
Wow. So how did it get to him actually shooting you? What was that situation?
Well, like I said, it was years of abuse at this point. I'm pregnant again, right? So this is the third child. And I just was like, I can't, I got to get out of this. So I left. I was away, in a hidden place. The book speaks about where I was. I don't want to give too much about
That's
that.
fine. No problem.
So So this particular week, I ran out of money because I didn't work. I wasn't allowed to work. Um, I called him on the phone and I said to him, I'm running out of money. Would we be able to, meet up where I can get the clothes for the girls? And so we had a decent conversation. And so we had that first conversation, and then we began to have conversation for the rest of the week. And so he said, well, you know what? I'm going to be off on the weekend. You can come on the weekend and pick up the things. And I've accepted that you don't want me. I accepted you don't want to be with me. I just want to be in my children's life. And I was like, absolutely. I have no problem with us co-parenting. I'm not sure if I used that particular word or language at that time, but that's what we were talking about. And so I just, said to him, I just want to be able to be in a place with you where we can be able to get along and it not always be so abusive and toxic. And he was like, okay, not realizing that I was being set up. And everybody, right, I believe, gets that gut feeling like something is gonna happen or something is wrong.
Something's
And
off.
just that whole like day, the night before, I kept just saying, maybe you should just leave the stuff or whatever. But I didn't have any money. I didn't have anything. So I needed my clothes. And he said that he would give me $500. I needed it. I was desperate. And so I go to the place and I go back to the home that was shared, and I got out the cab. I turn the key to get into the door, and it was locked. So I was like, okay, he changed the locks already, no problem. So he opens the door, and when he opened the door, he had like this eerie face, like, and I was like, okay, whatever. My plan was, listen, I had my youngest daughter in my arms at the time, and she was sleeping, and I went to place her down in her room, and then I just proceeded to go. Our bedroom was to the left, to go and retrieve my belongings. And when I did that and opened the drawer, there was nothing in there. So I turned around, and I'm like, "Where's my stuff?" And he looked at me, and he was like, "This is the day you die, bitch." And he began to shoot me. And so I talk about all of the how he shot me. It wasn't like he shot me bong, bong, bong. It was torture. So I speak about all of that in the book, how he tortured me through the process. And
your baby daughter was there.
My baby daughter was in the room sleeping. And I don't know if he even remembered that she was there, because he was just in his space in which he was in, and I'm thinking like maybe he would have killed her because you killed your son. So
Wow.
Jesus Christ. So during that process, I know that the process of healing after that, I'm just trying to figure out what made you feel after you lost trust for the police. You know what I'm saying? He was a correctional officer. How did you transition into becoming an officer? What was that process?
oh God, that process was not easy, by far, because I had such a dislike for police officers, any type of law enforcement, whether it was police, it could be a court officer. I just had just dislike for them, but I again I speak about this. It's something happened to where I was able to get into the police department. And I talk about that part in the book as well. And so I decided to join the police department because I wanted to be a good cop. I wanted to protect and serve. I wanted to be able to help and just be a difference.
So before you went back to work, I mean, obviously you almost died. And I know you're making sure people actually get the book and read it. But I would love to hear about the healing process. Like you were shot in multiple locations, but you lived. So what is it that he didn't hit that allowed you to live? Because anybody that gets shot 10 times, you would think that they would die, but there was something that protected you from that. Can you tell me, or tell us what that was.
To be honest with you, it had to be God, because he hit me, and he only place I didn't get hit was shot in my face. I was hit in my face with something, but I was not shot in my face. But I was hitting all my organs. Like I was hit. I was hit.
Wow. And they saved you. How did they know that you were like shot? Like what? How did you get help?
I have to reveal that in the book.
Okay.
Like I tell that.
Okay.
That part is so powerful.
Wow.
It's so
Wow.
powerful. And I still have 6 bullets in me. Was not able to they was only able to remove 4 of the bullets. So I live with 6 bullets to this day. Like I can die tomorrow.
Have your bullets moved around?
Oh, absolutely. I'm going through something right now.
Wow.
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 This is.
I mean, it's just, and I think the story here is that, you know, there were physical signs of abuse beforehand. But to your point, growing up in the communities we come from, the stories we have, we deal with abuse sometimes and just accept it as being somewhat normal because it's just, you know, what we're used to. You don't leave your home, especially when I saw you say in another interview, you know, he had a job. He had a job, a good job. He, you know, had a weapon, you know, and he was the protector. He was supposed to be your guy. And to know that he would turn around and do something like this because he no longer had control over you, it seems to me that he decided that if he wasn't going to control you and be able to beat you and treat you however he wanted to, he was not going to let you go off into the world. And that is so troubling because we hear that all the time. And, you know, a lot of people in the recent months, you know, through the different trials and everything that we have watched unfold, when we talk about the issue of domestic violence, there are so many people that say, well, why didn't she leave? You know, why didn't she just walk away? But deprivation, meaning not having money, not having clothes, not having those things, you could get so far as to be hidden in a location and then have to double back to a terrible situation in order to be able to take care of yourself, because how are you supposed to survive? And people create those conditions when they know that they want to have something to be able to control you. So I know that that must be a part of what you're talking about in your book.
Absolutely. I speak about that. And I want to also stress that people are quick to tell people, oh, just leave. Why didn't they leave? It's not that easy to just leave, you know, and especially if you're in a place where you don't have money, you don't have resources, you don't have family, you don't have community, the police won't help you, nobody not helping you. Where you going? There's no safe haven. Where you going? And it's still happening today.
And you have children.
When you call the cops, yeah, they got to do the report. But where you going? You know, I did a speaking engagement, and this is, and I want to be real clear. This is not a gender thing. This ain't a race thing. This is a crisis.
Damn.
And people, and this is what's happening. But see, my thing is this: I've come to the realization that domestic violence is not going away. So what I'm advocating for is for people to get healed and made whole. And what that looks like is nothing missing, nothing broken, and nothing damaged, being made whole, so that you don't get into these relationships with people that are already broken and want to take their misdirect anger on you. Because when you're healed, you spot that mess a mile away.
You know.
Where is he?
I don't know where he is, but I don't know. I don't know where he is. I don't have no contact with him. I have no communication with him.
So was he convicted for shooting you?
He was convicted of shooting me, but he the day of the trial, he pled guilty.
And what was he sentenced to?
5 to 15.
5 to 15 years for almost killing you,
And murdered my son.
murdering your son and murdering you in many ways. Like there's parts of you that will never ever be the same. And he did that, and he got 5 to 15 years, which means he's already been released. And he's off about his business in the world. I mean, this is just crazy.
It's just outrageous. And just to think about it, and then people are so awful. And even in the comments and the things that these police officers are attacking me. And I'm just saying, like, at the end of the day, this is not about selling no book. This is about a crisis. People are dying.
Yeah, it is. And I heard, that you didn't even, when you became part of the police force, that you didn't even disclose that this had happened to you.
I could not, because I knew that they did not want the stigma. They wouldn't have hired me. So I couldn't tell.
So you had to live with that inside for all.
Could you imagine living and working for 20 years, scared to death every day you go to work that somebody gonna find out who you are?
Jesus.
And it's not that they wouldn't have hired.
And it's not that you did anything wrong.
Yeah.
It's sad. Like, you can't even be the victim of a crime.
Nah.
It's crazy. You have to hide that somebody did something to hurt you in order for your own survival.
Right, because you weren't. It's not that they wouldn't have hired you. They probably still would have hired you, but they would never allowed you to grow all the way to first grade detective. There's no way you would have never.
They wasn't hiring me. I'm telling you, they wouldn't have hired me. I'm telling you that. They not hiring no domestic violence victim, and especially at that level.
Damn.
Nah.
Wow.
No way. And I stand on it.
They wouldn't have even hired you, because to have you there is to have somebody with a story that makes them not a robot, because that's what they want.
And
it's
it makes
robots.
them accountable, because they would have to be accountable.
Exactly. Because if you hired me right under these circumstances, and then now I got to tell the whole story on the paper that y'all responded, but you didn't help me. How you gonna hire me?
That's right.
How you gonna hire me? Think about it.
Yeah, they don't want you. They know you are a grenade. They don't want no grenade inside that.
Nah, they don't. Of course not. And let me tell you something. I don't have the police department. I have my pros and I have my cons.
Right.
And I have the experience of being mistreated, and then I have the experience of being on this and working for the same organization that did an injustice for me. I should say.
Yeah.
I was able to go in there, and I was able to go in there with integrity. I was able to go in there, protect and serve, and do my job. No CCRBs, no suspensions, no scandals under me. Nothing. Nothing.
That's. I mean, sometimes the best revenge is success.
That's right. That's right.
So, talk to us about your foundation that you started.
I started the foundation in 2012 when I was in community affairs.
Okay.
And I started it because I just didn't want young women, young ladies to be able to have to experience what I had experienced. Everybody doesn't come from a great household. Everybody doesn't come from a place where someone gets to mentor to them or be a life coach to them. And I had said to myself, you know what? The best place for me to start this program is within the NYPD, to just be able to bridge a gap with the police department and with the community. And so that's how I started it. And it became very effective. I offer workshops about self-esteem, self-awareness, etiquette, law 101, hair and makeup day, just so many workshops that I offer. It's a 16-week program. After each girl finishes the program, I give them a formal commitment, and I speak life into them, because a lot of them go right back to the same environment. But if I can give them a tool, if I can give them some sort of love and just give them a voice and some hope, maybe that can save them, because that was never offered to me.
And what's the name of the organization again?
Young Ladies of Our Future.
Young Ladies of Our Future. That sounds amazing.
Tell us about your upbringing, like, and also, are you still in touch with any of the members of your abuser's family? Like, because I know you have children with him, so do those children get to see anybody in the family? Did they know what was happening and they ignored it?
Everybody that was around me at that particular time saw what's happening. When you have black eyes and busted lips, everybody see.
Wow. So that's your own family as well. They knew what was happening. Yeah,
Everybody.
that's a real thing. Like, a real thing is you could go
Yeah.
home to your own family and they'll be like, "Oh, baby, just don't make him upset, or
Yeah,
try to
yeah.
work it
You
out."
sitting right there with a whole black eye.
That's a real
And they,
thing.
yeah, it's a real thing. It's real. And we normalize this.
Are the kids dealing with any level of trauma
Oh,
from this
of
situation?
course.
Yeah.
Of course. Of course. Could you imagine?
Knowing that your dad shot your mom. It's a
10
horrible story. Yeah, that's tough.
times.
Well, I pray for you, sis. And I as I listen to you, I just know your story. I don't know people that were shot 10 times and survived. So God
You and 50 Cent.
definitely
That's probably,
wants you to
Jesus
do
Christ.
something, for sure. But I know so many people that everybody knew they were being abused. Everybody knew. Everybody watched their own mothers and other family members watched it happen. And because the man had a good job and, he was maybe attractive and had a little money or whatever, people just they just like kind of poo it away and watch women suffer and be abused. And I know some people will say, well, it happens to men also. It does, but a man walking into his family's house for Thanksgiving or whatever with two black eyes and a busted lip that's not a normal occurrence. It happens to women often, and the whole community will sit by. You'll hear it happening next door and say nothing. You'll see it in the family and do nothing. And the abuser's family will know that it's happening and never step in to say, enough is enough. This has to stop. And that's
right.
not okay.
No, it's not okay. And let me tell you something too. A lot of women, right? Women are dying from this, and it's business as usual, right? You hear about it, and a lot of them, I'm telling you, you don't hear about it. And this is not just a black thing. This is a white thing. This is a religion thing. People from all over the world have reached out to me.
Wow.
And told me from different religions, Muslim women, Indian women, Spanish women, white women, black women, transgender women have reached out to me
Wow.
about and what hurts me the most is when they ask for help and I can't give them help.
Where do you send them?
Where do I send them?
That's how I feel about, my story is addiction. I got addicted to pain pills, and when people come to me and they're like, what do I do? What do I do? And like, as you said, this is not just one group of people, although what I realize is that the disparities for black women getting the treatment that we need is very, very far and few between. So
And limited.
Yeah, it's very limited. The disparities are very high, in other words. And
Yes.
so I try to think to myself, what is the action plan for somebody who's coming to me with their story? And every day I wrestle with, I know a little bit of what to say to them, but I don't have a full laid out action plan. And now I'm working on that, similar to your story, because I want to be able to tell people, step 1, this is what you're going to do. Step 2, step 3, step 4, and help them to get the services that they need. But it's not available everywhere, and certainly we can't pay for it. The program that I was in was $80,000 for treatment. $80,000. Someone sent me there without me paying, right? Because I would have never been able to do it. But $80,000 it took to help me.
Wow.
These young, who else? Do you have
Who got $80,000 to give?
Come on now. You
can't
have it. You got to take care of your family.
Put groceries in their refrigerator.
This is what I'm saying.
$80,000.
This is what I'm saying.
It's unreal.
And that's the thing. Like my dream, my goal is to have multiple safe haven houses. Because if I can be able to get you out of there and pour into you, you take the torch, get somebody, bring them, pour into them. We can have this can be a movement.
That's right. That's right. It is. It is. You remind me so much of my sister Stephanie McGraw of Warm. You know, in New York. I'm sure you probably know a little bit about Stephanie and her domestic violence work that she's doing.
Well.
Yes. So I see the movement. I see it. You know, I knew about what Stephanie did from afar. But when I walked into her office and spent a couple of days in there watching families come in and out, seeing that she has, it's not just sit down and let's fill out some paperwork and let's think. No, she bringing you in the back. She putting clothes on your back, food in your shopping cart, putting money in your hand, making sure that when you leave that home where you're being abused, that you have real resources to survive. And imagine if there was a Warm there to catch Katrina Brown at the time when when you needed it, so you didn't have to make that call to go back that last time.
If I only had that, right? And that's why I want the police department to connect and with these safe havens, so that when they respond, you can take this woman or man out of the situation and put them in someplace safe. I went to Stephanie's place before a couple of times, and I'm telling you, she's doing the real work, but she can't do this alone.
No. There needs to be 500 more of those types of programs.
Yes,
and more than that, in every state. Imagine
every state, multiple,
That's
so
right.
that we can save more lives. People are dying because they don't have nowhere to go.
Well, I tell you, I hope that everybody who's listening in, who's learned your story, again, let's not just use this as trauma porn. That, you know, let me read it like a good old school book. No, let's think about what we can do. Are we supporting organizations that are doing this work? And let's buy Katrina's book to support her so that her story can move as far and as wide as possible, because there is absolutely a young girl who's at the beginning stages of abuse today that doesn't know it, and she needs somebody to tell her no. When he grabs you by the arm, that is, and by the way, let's just be clear, these relationships, same gender relationships, I see it. I have family members and friends who are gay, who are seeing, you know, other women particularly, they fight. I mean, what in the world? They are fighting, stabbing each other, these crazy things, but you think it's cool when you push me, I push you. No, people should not be physically touching and harming other people. And we've all had to learn that over time. But what you said is so true. As the rise in mental health issues, we see it. We know that in some places like Newark, New Jersey, domestic violence is one of the main issues that they're dealing with, right? So it's spreading, and it's really it's an epidemic. It's an epidemic.
I say it all the time. It's definitely an epidemic, and we need policy. We need change. Like, it's not about we just telling somebody else or helping somebody. If we can get some change.
Yeah, it has to be.
It has to be changed. Let's fight for change. Let's fight for some policy. Let's fight for the government to change the laws when it comes to domestic violence.
Wow.
And
let's get some funding so that we can have a place for people to go.
I just want us to change the way we view it. As a man, you know, I know, like you said, those police officers came to that house and they said, y'all need to work that out. And I don't want us to say that. I don't want us to look at a woman with a black eye and say that's their relationship and let them deal with it. I want us to normalize saying that it's not okay that any man hits and puts his hand on a woman and I have to do something to intervene with that. I have to utilize whatever power that I have to make sure that that woman is safe.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we got to unpack it. We got to unpack it. Well, it's a lot to be unpacked.
You have interviews and things to do to promote your book the first week that your book is out. And I wish you nothing but success.
Yes.
I'm going right now to purchase a copy. And we are going to make sure that you come back on the show to talk more about the details. Because clearly you can't tell us everything today because the book is not out yet. But in a couple of weeks when the book is out and the people know all the things, we'll have you back because we want to hear from your words about your experience. And again, sis, I wish you nothing but success. God saved your life for a reason. And we believe, we absolutely 100% believe that it is for the good of our people. I know you said it's not just black, white. That's right. It's everybody. But there is definitely a need for more black women who have survived to help save our young black girls.
Absolutely. I definitely agree with you on that, sis. And I thank you guys for giving me a platform to be able to speak today and to be able to talk and tell some of my story. And I really pray to God that people will go out and buy the book so that they can be inspired, be empowered, be educated, just be able to understand that there's still hope no matter how dark your life is, no matter where you come from, that you can be able to turn that thing around and be able to be everything that you want to be. It's still hope.
That's right.
Amen.
It really is.
Well, God bless you. I'm so happy
you.
You're still here with us. Take care. Katrina Brown, thank you so much. Katrina Brown Lee. That's right. Get it right.
Keep
Katrina
being
Brown
great,
Lee.
Queen.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And I appreciate you guys. And I look forward to coming back on the show.
Well, I mean, you know, you can tell that it's not easy for her to talk about all the details of what happened, not just the part about, you know, keeping some things under wraps until the book comes out, but just in general, trying to express what she's gone through. Like, I don't know. And I don't know when she'll ever, I just don't know. I can't imagine like how you'll ever be able to say, okay, I'm back to normal.
Yeah. What is normal? What is that? You know what I'm
Right.
saying? When you talk about, that's why I asked about the kids and the trauma with the kids. Like, what is normal for them? I know that that's probably something in the book that, you know, they probably have therapy. It's probably a lot of things. If you're a young child and you realize you was in the other room as your father shot and almost killed your little brother in the womb and almost killed your mother, like, I know that has to be levels of trauma.
And he's just out here living in the world, even with 5 to 15. Let's just say he did 5 years, right? I don't, you know, we'll look it up just to see for ourselves, but let's just say he did 5 years. That's not enough time for him to not do it to somebody else. In my mind, maybe it is, because I don't know that any time in prison actually changes people, right? Mm-hmm. Like that's the conflict that we often talk about. We believe that he definitely, if you shoot a woman or you rape a child or you shoot a man, you know, whatever, we believe in that particular space until we have the mechanisms to hold people accountable directly in our communities. There has to be something that happens to you. Absolutely. Okay. But, you know, when you go to prison and you beat up or shot a woman, I don't know that people just look at you like you're the worst person in the world. I just don't know. Because remember, he's a correction officer going into that space. So you already know that the other correction officers are going to treat him different just because, you know, his story is woe is me. Oh, she was doing whatever. You know how they do. Yeah. It tell you a whole thing about how the person was the one that made you do these things to her. So, you know, F you, dude. Like, whatever his name is, F you.
Yeah.
For
Fuck
real.
Him. Fuck him.
So let me just give you this stat also, because I want people to understand what she says, that this is a crisis, right? When she said that, it is real. It is a crisis. And Janice just sent this to me. In 2024, nearly 1 in 2 women And more than 2 in 5 men in the United States have experienced intimate partner violence, which is basically domestic violence. Okay, you hear that? In 2024, nearly 1 in 2, that means every other woman you see. So one of us in here has this experienced some type of domestic violence, and then 2 in 5 men. So that means that domestic violence is not just an issue impacting women, but men are also dealing with, as they say, intimate partner violence. The fighting, the stabbing, the cutting, the biting, the slamming into the wall, punching in the face, stuff that we really have normalized in our communities. We really do normalize some of this behavior. And as Katrina Brown Lee has stated, it is a crisis and it's an epidemic because people are absolutely dying.
Terrible. So for my I don't get it, I posted something on my page, and there was a father who was testifying against his son in a murder trial. And it really hurt me, just listening to his testimony and the way he stated that it was about self-preservation for him. As he was being, his son's lawyer was questioning him, asking him, do you care about your children? And he said, yeah, but, it's about me. It's the law of the world is about me. And that was so crazy to me. I would never be able to think that. My children actually come before me. I would sacrifice my life for my children, but that's not even the worst of it. The worst of it is that the father had introduced his children into the street life. Allegedly, they were doing a retaliation because someone shot the father. And he supposedly, allegedly, helped them get away and testified to all these things because he wanted a shorter sentence. And that was just like, I really didn't understand that. For me, it was like, what kind of father would testify against his children and send them to jail for life so that their sentence could be lower when they're engaged in the same activities?
So what if they weren't? Would you agree that if you are a civilian who is following the law, because I try to live by the law, and then your child murders someone, do you believe that at that point the parent should or can testify against the child?
Well, once again, I've already said, if you're a civilian and you make a decision to do that, I can't, me personally, I'm not testifying against my child. I'm personally not going to sit on the stand knowing that my son or child is going to go to jail forever and be the person to send them there.
Not even if the person was killed? If the other person died?
I don't have it in me. I can understand if the Lord sees fit and they have the evidence to do it, but me utilizing my voice to send my son to jail for the rest of his life, I don't have that in me. My paternal instinct is not going to allow me to do it. So that's why for me it was crazy just to hear him have, but knowing that your son was doing what you taught him to do, and you were such a coward that you didn't want to spend no more time in jail, that you testified to him on him and his brother, so that you didn't have to, have a stiff sentence, was just crazy to me.
Yeah, I mean, I don't see any scenario where I would testify against my child or my grandchild. I would definitely tell them they're wrong.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't try to hide them or protect them from the system if they did something wrong. But I don't think that I could ever go before a jury and actually testify against my child. I don't think I could ever do that.
Yeah, I don't got it.
But I would say that I agree with you to know, and I don't know the story, so I have to read more about it, but to know that I think there's a deeper conversation that needs to be had, because guess what? We don't often talk about how parents do play a role sometimes in what their children are engaged in. I know when I was growing up in the projects in Harlem, I saw a lot of young kids that was, tricking and selling dope and doing a whole bunch of things because their parents introduced them to it. That's a real thing that happened. And it's not, and I can't sit here and tell you it was one child.
It was multiple.
It was multiple, for sure. Some of them, I never forget how in Manhattanville there used to be a little boy who was responsible for like dealing the drugs down at the flagpole. Like he used to be down there dressed up, treated very well, but he was pretty much being pimped and not for sex, but for drug dealing. And he was probably 9 years old, 10 years old, and that's what he did. So parents are in that, and they're and unfortunately, or fortunately, or whatever, accountability needs to be strong. Like for those, you shouldn't even be allowed to testify against your kids so that you can get a lower sentence. That shouldn't even be allowed.
But that's what I'm saying, and
it should just be that everybody going to jail.
I say that all the time. If we eliminated snitching, people are like, oh, you talking about you want to end crime, or what are you for the people, or you for justice, or you talking about snitches? Like
the lack of nuance is really unbelievable.
Because people don't want to deal with the reality. The thing is, if you stop snitching, right? If you cut the people off from snitching, so that they can commit crimes and get away with the crimes after they tell on somebody else, so they can do their time, then you actually start eliminating. Because once the snitch on somebody, the snitch goes home. The snitch goes free. They get a get out of jail free. They're not being held accountable.
Right.
So once you make it understood that I can be the weak person and I can commit the crime and not be held accountable, then you make crime easier for people. Because all they got to do is, I'm just going to tell on such and such. And I'm going to keep doing it because that's what they do. They breed more snitches. They come, they do a crime, they tell on such and such, they get away with it. Now they doing deals. So the crime is still happening. You're not eliminating crime by justifying and glorifying snitches. It doesn't work. It's a weak. If everybody just had to be held, listen, we don't care. You going to jail and he going to jail. Everybody say, you know what? I ain't got no get out of jail.
But then it would be very difficult for them to close these cases because they would have to actually do real detective work and have real evidence, and they wouldn't be able to lock people up just based upon what somebody else says, but it would really be based upon what they know to be truth and to be factual, and that also makes the job much more difficult.
When you realize that I'm going to do 50 years, no matter what, if I get caught in this, no matter who I tell on
you may not do it at all.
This is what I'm saying. That's what it should be. That's what people need to understand. They understand that there are severe consequences and there's no get out of jail free card. Niggas say, I'm going to stay on the sidewalk.
I hear you. Well, I guess nobody can argue that.
And that's what I always say, man. But that brings us to the end of another episode of TMI. We appreciate you. Make sure you follow us at TMI_show on Instagram and at TMI Show PC on YouTube. I'm not going to always be right. Tamika D. Mallory's not going to always be wrong, but we will both always, and I mean always, be authentic.
Peace.